on YouTube. This is Caffeine Jedi and Legal in Japan. So, today's topic is drug laws in Japan. Again, I have to add, I am not a lawyer, so do not take my advice perfectly seriously. And I based all my information on Google and a bunch of searches that I was doing and yada yada yada. So, again, not a lawyer. And some of this is also based off word of mouth and experiences I actually had while in Japan. So, let's get started. Let's start with some of the differences. No, let's start with when you get to Japan. Alright, so you're a tourist and you decide you want to come visit Japan. You get to the Japanese airport and you're applying for your visa. And I don't remember if there was a question. I think there's a questionnaire they give you because I remember somebody having to do this when they came, to get your tourist visa. And they ask you if I can't remember if it was whether you've ever been charged or you've ever been convicted. I think convicted of possession of any kind of drugs. Now, if you answer yes, you are automatically denied entry into the country. As far as I know. I know that this has happened to several celebrities. I know that this happened to Katy Perry's husband, and I believe it also happened to Paris Hilton and a few other people. But I'm dead serious about that. Japan will not let you into their country if you've been convicted of possession or anything drug-related, I believe. So, yeah, be wary of that. Don't buy your plane ticket just yet. So, okay, let's start, then I'm going to only do 3 kinds of drugs briefly because I didn't want to go through all the drugs, just the ones I know about for various reasons. FYI, when I was in university, I'd taken a number of anthropology classes having to deal with drugs and altered states of consciousness and the way they work in society, so I base a lot of the stuff I know on those classes. So don't just assume, man, she must be such a druggie to know all this shit, because that's only half the truth. No, that's not true. Anyway, so I continue on. Let's start with marijuana, because a lot of people ask, you want to go to Japan and get some Mary Jane, right? Because it's the most popular thing to do in the States. So a lot of tourists or Americans or people from other countries go to Japan and think, well, why not try and get a little bit here and there, right? Well, I'll tell you what you're dealing with. So, I've been told, and I've heard, that drug laws, especially with marijuana, are much stricter in Japan than they are in the States. This part is true. Now, are they strict, generally speaking, in the world? In terms of Asia, they're probably one of the most, liberal countries when it comes to drug laws. I think a famous case was, there was actually I don't know if he was a heroin smuggler, I know that he was a drug smuggler, who was Japanese, and he actually got caught in China and has been sentenced to death. Now, I'm not sure if he was already executed because I don't know how quickly they decide to do that in China. But yeah, and Japan was complaining that they thought China's laws were too strict. So, yeah, in comparing Japan to the Western world, yeah, it's more strict. In comparing it to the rest of Asia, not as much as you would think. Here's what's the dealio. If you end up in Shibuya or Roppongi, these are in Tokyo, some districts of Tokyo, I've been told that you can find marijuana, maybe not fairly easily, but it's there. However, the Japanese cops particularly will target foreigners, and they'll ask you to search your bag. Now, the way this works, or so what I've researched is, you actually can decline to be searched. A lot of people don't know this, but you can tell them no, and you can ask them to get a warrant if they really want to. Now, most people in this situation, when you're questioned by the cops and you don't know the laws and you're in Japan, you just think, holy shit, I've been caught, I've been busted. No, that is not exactly the case. But you should cooperate with the police. I always will advise that. But know that technically you don't have to say yes. So the other thing is, I remember when I was living in Japan, there was the cops got into the habit of picking up a lot of, I don't know if it was just foreigners, but I assume foreigners, in Roppongi and Shibuya and a couple other, nightclubby districts of Tokyo, and basically driving them down to like the precinct or the police station and making them get drug tested. And if they tested positive, like, you would automatically get deported. And so because of this, like, I think there was like a big uproar from like some foreign people in the community saying that, why were you doing that? How did that prove that you really broke any laws in Japan? Because technically you could have gotten high in a different country and come there and tested positive. I don't know how that played out, actually. I think they kind of stopped doing that, but they used to. But that also brings up something to remember. If you get drug tested by the police and you test positive, you can be deported for that. All right, so keep that in mind. The other thing is, I guess one of the differences, one of the things that you wouldn't think it was actually more lax in Japan is the fact that cannabis seeds in Japan are actually legal, as far as I know. I don't know if the law changed, but the closest thing I could find was from 2008. And as of 2008, and I haven't heard anything changing about that, cannabis seeds were legally available. Now, cannabis, the plant, is illegal. The seeds are just for, I don't know, experimental purposes, supposedly. I don't know why you would even have cannabis seeds. Like, how do you justify that? Consider that legal and the other one illegal, but whatever. As long as you don't grow a plant with these seeds, it seems to be okay. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Okay. So, let me go a little bit of what will probably happen to you if you get straight up caught with some Mary Jane. They're able to prosecute you with, like, I think 0.1 grams, which is like a fucking snippet of dust of marijuana. And you could get up to 5 years in prison for that. Now, what will probably happen, now that sounds fucking harsh and everybody's like, holy shit, really? Oh my god. Now this is what will probably happen. Not definitely, there could be, you could just be made an example of and fucking given a really tough sentence. But from what I've read and like just from when I was living in Japan and this would happen, most likely you are going to get charged and found guilty and probably given a suspended sentence. So the way a suspended sentence works is, it's kind of like probation in a way. If you don't break any laws and you seem to be okay and you seem to be repentant, which is kind of a big deal in Japanese law. Like, you find a lot of people, the more sorry you are, they actually are more lenient, it seems, than I think in a lot of American judicial systems. At least that was just my opinion. That's what I thought. Like, an apology goes a long way, it seems, in Japan, in terms of crime. And so what happens is, okay, I was saying, you apologize, but oh yeah, suspended sentence. I'm everywhere. Okay, so you get a suspended sentence. So, yeah, the way it works is like, they give you like 5 years suspended sentence. So the way it works is, yeah, you don't commit any crimes, you're okay. Chances are the judge won't, send you to the 5 years. It'll be considered like probation. As long as you didn't commit any crimes, you wouldn't have to serve those 5 years. However, you're a foreigner, so chances are you're going to get a suspended sentence and get deported and never be allowed into the country again. That's probably what will happen. Not saying that the really bad side of that couldn't also happen. Just letting you know. What are we on time? Okay, I think I'll just briefly go over a couple of other ones, like, the other thing I know about is magic mushrooms. I think it was in 2005 magic mushrooms finally became illegal in Japan. They weren't before. But I believe that the law somehow stipulates that if you are possessing some kind of magic mushroom with the intent to use it to get high specifically, I think that's a crime. But if you just happen to have them and you're like, oh, I don't know what this mushroom is, yeah, I just thought they were mushrooms, I was going to eat them in like a stew, then supposedly that's not a crime. Like, again, that's what I've found so far. Also, mushroom spores, psilocybin spores, are legal in Japan, and you can actually find the spores, I believe, in certain head shops or order them online. However, if you didn't know this already, it's actually the same in the United States. Psilocybin spores, magic mushroom spores, are legal in the United States in in most parts of the United States, except like California and Georgia, and I can't remember a couple other states that actually ban that. Salvia, I know that in Florida, salvia became illegal, which is where I live. And salvia plants, actually Salvia divinorum plants, funny enough, I actually saw them at like certain like garden shops. They would just sell them there, like, you know, for aesthetic purposes. But yeah, they were just sold out, like no big deal. Okay, so the last thing I'll say is certain methamphetamines and amphetamines in general, I think, are illegal in Japan. There's certain medicines you can't bring in to Japan, like NyQuil, Sudafed, yeah, mostly methamphetamine seem to be like the big deal. It's funny because when celebrities get busted for drugs in Japan, like I would say like 7 out of 10 times it's for some kind of amphetamine, which you would think, like, you know, it's such a thing that most Americans don't even think to, like, you wouldn't even think it is illegal, so, you know, I guess nobody gets really arrested for that as much in the States, except for crystal meth, I think. But, like, you don't imagine celebrities doing crystal meth. You imagine trailer trash doing crystal meth. And various other forms of poor people. Alright, the last thing I could say, alright, as I was saying, okay, prescription drugs. So, if you are on certain medications, and you're coming to Japan, so this is what you need to do. If you have a prescription, you're supposed to go to the consulate and get something called a Yakin Shomei certificate. And I guess you show that, and that'll make your prescription legit if you want to bring more than, I believe, 1 month's supply. You're usually cut down to about 1 month. But I've heard of people bringing in like a whole year's supply of prescription meds and never being given a problem. I've heard most of this from birth control, though. Like, I really don't think they give a crap about birth control. I know that I used to take birth control, and I would have it mailed in to me every month from the U.S., and I never had any problems. Yeah. That's about it. That's the, like, short version of this. I hope I am within my time limit, so